Yeah. Okay. So let us discuss. In the last class, we are discussing about the writing style of the thesis also, that how many sentences we can put in one chapters and how pages will be in a thesis. Standard size is 350. Today we are going to discuss about quality of presentations, as well as writing of the research paper. We'll discuss. Before coming to the writing of research paper, we'll discuss something that how theses are being presented and what is the quality of presentation of the thesis. So, writing of the academic thesis or research report must be clear and crisp. Sometimes in the conclusion part or the in the last chapter, it is not clear that what research scholar is going to tell about the findings of his research. So it must be specific and pinpointed also, and it must be clear that what a research scholar want to say about the findings also. There must be linking of all the chapters from the beginning, from the introduction to the end of the chapter, and there must be logic and reasoning with linking of the chapters also, so that the chapters must be continued from the introduction to the end of the thesis. So there must be a logical flow of the writing, so that the chapters must be linked together. Sometimes a chapter is not related with the previous chapter, then it gives a confusion that for what purpose this chapter has been used here. So there must be logical presentations of the chapters and linking of the chapters also. And whenever there is the end of the chapter, you just mention that in the next chapter what you are going to explain, so that the chapter will be linked to the next chapter. Generally, it is seen that in the book also, in the thesis also, that whenever there is the end of the chapter, you just mentioned that what you have discussed in the chapter and what you are going to explain in the next coming chapter also, so that the chapter will be linked to the next chapter. So there must be logic that why you are going to explain the next chapter just after it. So there must be logic reasoning of that also. So there must be good balance between the text, tables, charts, and other graphics is maintained. Whenever you are maintaining any good, you can say, images, photographs, or illustrations in the text, in the chapter itself, when the running passage is going on, then there must be balance about it. Sometimes the running passage ends and the tables comes in the next pages. So there is no connections between the tables and charts with the passage. So whenever there is the passage, you just give that in the table number one or two or three what you are going to explain. And just when you are discussing in the passage, you just give the tables so that there will be linking of that also. We have already discussed that in the research proposal, there are objectives. So in the last, you just see when you are going to complete your thesis, that whether objectives have been addressed or they have been taken care of or not. And the conclusions or the findings which are drawn with consistent presentations or not. So we have already seen there are 4, 5 objectives in the research proposal when you are going to make. So at the last of the findings, you just see that whether objectives have been taken care of or not. If objectives are not fulfilled, then thesis is not complete. The research proposal, what you had made earlier, it is not complete. Then claims of generalizations are well supported. Whenever in the hypothesis, the present solution of the research problem, what you had discussed in your synopsis, whether this have been claimed or not, whether the validity of the problems or research questions have been tested or not. Again, you have to give the all credits to the authors, contributors, and even your supporters who have given to you. You must give citations or references in the primary sources and the secondary sources. What you have consulted, you must give credit to all these things. Sometimes people also write in preface all the claims they have taken from the authors or the journals or the books, authors of the books, they generally give thanks to or they acknowledge their contributions also. Sufficient procedural information is given to enable others to replicate the study, like data sources, sampling plans, survey instruments, and methods for analysis are given in all detail. So, whatever the informations you have given, they must be given due acknowledgement. And sometimes in the chapters, repetitions are given. So, research scholars are supposed to avoid the repetitions. And we have also seen that in the research proposal, what the limitations of the research we have taken, they have been also stated here or not. Whether there is the further scope of the study for the future generations or the scholars or not, we have to see. We have to give some of the scope for the future research also. Then at the time of the Viva Voce, it is still enough time, but there are some of the things which you have to take care of. In Lumini Buddhist University, there are two Viva Voce examinations. There is a pre-Viva Voce examinations and the final Viva Voce examinations. In the pre-Viva Voce examinations, before the submission of the thesis, there are internal examiners and external examiners. There are two, three external examiners, and there are two, three internal examiners. All suggestions are being given, and a research scholar has to take due considerations of all the suggestions what internal examiners and internal examiners are giving, are giving to the research scholar. There is a process of all these things. We are not going to discuss all these things. But at the time of pre-viva and the final viva, a research scholar has to take care of some of the things in his mind. Generally, a research scholar who is going to appear for the pre-viva or final viva, he is given 15 to 20 minutes, not more than that, to explain his own research findings. Abstract is the final, you can say, summary of all your chapters as well as conclusion of the chapters also. So you have to complete all these findings from the beginning objectives of the research till all the chapters and what are your findings. You have to explain within 15 to 20 minutes. For that, you do not need to make it 20 to 25 slides. You have to give a PowerPoint presentations also. And in PowerPoint presentations, there will be no repetitions from the thesis. What you have written in the chapters, those matters should not come in the PowerPoint presentations. In the PowerPoint presentations, you have to give only the points and you have to explain there. And suppose there are 20 slides, And if you spend 1 minute in one slide, you are taking 20 minutes itself, at least. So be prepared for the slides that you do not prepare slides more than 15 to 20. Otherwise, sometimes the experts who are sitting in the pre-viva examinations, they will object you and they have to ask you to finish your presentations within 5 minutes. What are your findings? At that time, you will be in a very hurry that you have not presented yourself in a very good manner or good presentations you have not given. So be prepared for that also, that you do not make 15 to 20 slides. And you do not need to spend more than 1 minute for one slide. Otherwise, you are taking more than 15 to 20 minutes. So ideally, you have to give very specific points what you have written in the conclusion part. What are your findings? First, you have to say about your that what the scholars they have written before this research and what are the research gap before you have taken this research and how much you were able to uh, complete those gap, but they have not done it. So be precise, highlight your contributions within a very specific time. You do not have much time. Don't think that you will be given more than 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And if you are not going to present all these things within 15 to 20 minutes, it will be very hard task for you to defense to make defense of your thesis also. And what you have written, the language in your thesis, it should not reflect in your slides also. Because in the slides, you are giving only points also. You have to very extempore at that time. You have to speak very specific and pinpointed or very in a clear manner. What are your findings? What were the research gaps and what you are writing? Sometimes in the slides, there are technical words, and in the technical words, there are some fonts also. And if the fonts are not supporting in the laptop at the time of the pre-viva or the final viva, then there will be problem. So slides must be free also, and you must prepare your slides within Unicode. What the laptop and nowadays desktops have Unicodes in the English also and in Nepali or Hindi. Whatever the Unicodes are available, you present or prepare yourself in that also. So you have to select a very standard font which are available everywhere. Sometimes the fonts are creating problem and you have to take considerations of the size also. The slide size in the slide, the font size must not be 14 or 16. In the current thesis, you are having the 12 point font size, but here at least 14 to 16 points you have to use it. So that is why it is called as a standard font size. You have to select it and the colors also. Sometimes people are presenting their presentations through slides which are very colorful, which are sometimes irritating to the scholars also and experts also. So do not use very uh, dark colors which are irritating to the eyes also. So you do not give more images like the images of the Buddha or images of any temple like that, so that it give another reflections of that. So try to avoid it and have a prior trial of your presentations before your pre-viva and the final viva. You must give a trial with your supervisor or with your colleagues or with your friends also, so that how much time you are taking and within a given time you are going to present all these things or not. Otherwise, it will take much time also. And be prepared for the questions from the external examiners and the internal examiners. Sometimes examiners are putting questions and they are being sent to the supervisors. So you must have consultations with your supervisor so that the questions which may be asked at the time of the pre-viva and the final viva, you must be aware of those questions and you must be prepared for answering all these questions. And one thing you must be very much conscious that you are not appearing for any job or any uh, assignment. This is your presentations. You are going to be awarded a highest degree of the university. So behave just like a teacher. You must be polite. You must be sincere. You must be dedicated there. Your presentations must be in a polite. Sometimes the questions are very irritating, and the questions are not asked to the subject also. But you have to be very polite at the time of your presentations. How a teacher behaves like this, you have to be very cautious about it. So you must be confident. You must be determined that whatever the questions they will ask, I am ready to answer all those questions also. Be very polite at the time of your presentations, pre-viva and the final viva. So don't be very. You sometimes the questions are being asked in a very irritating. Don't be irritated. Don't be angry at that time. Be very much polite and tell that you are not able to remember answers of these questions and I have not gone through it. I will try to go it. Whatever the suggestions or the questions you are asking, be very much polite and confident. You must be determined that I am ready to face all the questions. So you have to be very cautious at the time of pre-viva and the final viva. These are some of the suggestions which you have to take care of that at the time of pre-viva and final viva. This is for the how the theses are being converted into the book. These are not related with this at the present moment. I am leaving it just after that. What are the views of the external examiners and the internal examiners, and at the time of the pre-viva and the final viva, what the suggestions have been given. You have to modify your thesis also, and in that way you can convert your PhD thesis in a book form also. And in the book form, the title of the thesis are being changed into very specific and in a small manner, because the books do not have the larger title of the book also. So in that way, there are some of the things you have to remove in the title also. You have to update with the suggestions of the examiners and at the time of pre-viva and the final viva, the experts who are asking your questions. So you have to update it, add name and subject index at the end. So sometimes if you are going to publish your thesis in a book form, you have to add the word index or subject index. On the basis of the contents of your thesis, you can divide your word index into so many parts also, like name of the rivers, name of the place, name of the flowers. Like that, if you are discussing all these things, you can convert all word index into the subject wise also. Then a forward from the export of that subject must be obtained also. And you have to prepare about the author and about of the book in a very brief manner in the back cover also. And CD maybe prepared of that all the colors which can be used for this. Now, what main we are going to discuss today is that how we have to write a research paper. Till now, we have discussed about the research thesis for the PhD course. But even a research scholar, those who are registered for the PhD course, they have to write down two research papers which may be published in a peer-reviewed journal. So that is the criteria. So you have to also be very much careful that how you are going to prepare your two papers and how these two papers be published from the peer-reviewed journals also. So we are going to discuss about that how the papers are being written or the prepared by a research scholars. Sometimes it is also seen in the company if you are serving in a job or something that there was a in the previous there was a proverb that struggle for the existence and survival for the fittest. This was the proverb that you have to struggle for your own existence, and who survives, he is the fittest person. This was the, you can say, proverb. And even the nature and the environment and the man's and the animals, if you see, this is the survival for the fittest and a struggle for the existence. Everyone is struggling for the existence also. But in the modern time, in the age of the entrepreneurship, everyone's that get success or perish yourself. That nowadays people are not struggling for the existence, but they are doing that get success. They have to achieve first, or they have to get perished. They have to be destroyed also. Get success or get destroyed. This was the proverb nowadays in the age of the entrepreneurship. And you are also observing that how startup companies are coming up and how these get success and be perished. So these are the. But if a person who is registered for the PhD course, he has only one aim, that get publications, good publications of the research papers, good research papers, or perish yourself. If you do not get good publications, research papers, you do not prepare for the good research paper, you are not doing or you are not advised to pursue your research work also. So this is the main aim. Their research scholar must be dedicated, must be sincere, must be very much process also, that how he has to write a research paper, good research paper, and that research paper, how it may be published in a good research journal also, that is the peer-reviewed journal. So that should be a main aim of our research scholar. So see, there are what are the main focus of the research, that why the questions are being asked for, and every research scholar is inquisitive to know about what is happening, how it is happening, why it happens. So sometimes all the cause and conditions which are related with this. So a research scholar must think about what the things are happening around you or around yourself. So sometimes you are making the research problem, and there are research questions. Then research question must be that why this is happening, how it happens, what, so what, to whom the readership, and where it can be published, and what are the norms. So these are the some of the questions which are coming to the our research scholar. So this is the style. IMRAD. That is the I means introduction, M means method, R means results, and D means discussions. So you must have some of the this type of thinking, that how you have to follow about it. Whenever you are preparing your research paper, there are stages through which you can prepare your all research papers. First of all, you have to think about the title, then you have to write down author and to which university you are affiliated, or you have got to your registration for the PhD course. Then in the very beginning, you have to write down summary or abstract of the paper. Abstract, generally, it is supposed that you have to write down within 250 words in one pages also. And then generally you are giving the keywords also related with the research problems, and what the technical words you are going to explain, and how you are going to write about all these terms which have been not discussed earlier by the scholars. So some of the at least five keywords must be given in you the abs- abstract when you are writing. After that, this is the part of your research paper. In every peer-reviewed journal, you have to write down about the abstract of the paper in a very brief manner. Wherever you are sending your research paper, you must give the your abstract also. Then introduction, what you are going to explain, and what are the things you are going to explain in introduction. The research problem, research gap, you have to write down, and what you are thinking about it, you have to write down. Then aims and objectives of your research of the paper, what you are going to explain, why you are having a main problem related with your topic, you have to write down. Then you have to write down about the literature, and which book you have written down. In literature review, when you are writing in your thesis or in the research paper, you must discuss only those things which are related with your research topic, not besides that. In the book, there are so many chapters also. They are discussing all these things. You do not need to explain all these chapters, but in a very specific manner, what the topic of your research has been discussed in which chapter, you have to explain in a very brief manner. What type of research methodology you are going to explain, you have to write down within 2, 3 sentences that what type of methodology you are going to explain. Then conduct of this study, that what discussions you have to write down. And if you have figures and tables you have to write down, then main discussions related with your findings and analysis of your research you have to write down. Then you have to write down lastly conclusion, and lastly in the end of the research paper you have to acknowledge that from where you have taken the help, whether it is library or any researchers professor or something like that. Then in the last you have to give the abbreviations of the terms which you have used. I will discuss all these things in a very brief manner today. Then you have to give the references, bibliography, and we have already seen that how the footnotes are being given, and the parenthesis also you have to explain all these things. And then lastly, you have to give the appendix. If you have any illustrations, you have to also add this. So see, one of the each topic we are going to discuss in a very brief manner what these are the titles which are written here. So see, first is the research topic or the research paper. The title should be very catchy, very that should attract to the scholars also, and it should not go more than 12 to 16 words generally, research papers. And then you have to write down abstract within 250 words, maximum single paragraph in past tense, self-contained. So whatever you are writing in the abstract, it must be in the past tense form. You have to write down in the abstract the purpose, the design method, findings, practical implications, originality, value, type of the work, theoretical, empirical, and conclusion. Here, theoretical, empirical is the methods of the research, which type of research methodology you are going to use, you have to write down. Then keywords you have to write down, 5 to 7, not more than that. And the number covering main subject, a specific topic, core problem, or the idea, method, empirical setting. Then plan of the paper must be stated in the introduction section. So you have to write down the plan, that what you are going to write it about the objectives and other things in the, again, introduction should clearly state the background and the scope of the problem. Okay. Then objectives and hypothesis be stated very precisely. It is not your research paper, research thesis, but it is a research paper, and it must not go beyond 5,000 words. Generally, a research paper is being prepared within 3,000 to 5,000 words. So you have to be very specific when you are writing objectives and hypotheses. It must not include many words also or sentences. Literature review should cover only the essential works, not all the works like in PhD research thesis. Methods and procedures used for data collections and analysis to be described. For the collections of the research materials, what type of method, whether it is sampling method, qualitative method, quantitative method, empirical research method, what type of method you are going to adopt, you have to write down. Never include raw data in the results. It must be very clear or specific. Don't present the same data more than once. Discussion should interpret the, like in the discussion when you are writing, it should interpret the data and results comprehensively, describe conclusion about each objective or the hypothesis. When you are writing conclusion and the objectives of the research or the hypothesis, you must explain about it. Then present theoretical and practical implications of your findings in the conclusion, which part of your research paper. State why results came out as they did. Focus on the mechanism. Then conclusion should give summary, broader implications, and the future directions. Then lastly, acknowledge the help received from the others in the work and publications. What will be the length? Generally 5,000 words, including references, more only for the review paper. Assess the quality of the present paper and choose the journal accordingly. You have to select research journal which are directly related with your research topic, whether it is related with the art or literature or the philosophy. You have to select the research journals accordingly. Avoid the top class journals in the beginning as their rejection rate exceeds 80%. Sometimes the standard which you are not having in the beginning, the very good research journals do not accept the paper. So try to avoid in the beginning the top class level. If you are preparing more than 2, 3, 4 papers, you get experience and then you can send it to higher journals also. There are impact factors also for the research journal also. Give only the essential references and ensure their citations at the appropriate place in the text. So only references which have been really taken in the research paper you have to write down. Otherwise, there is no need of writing all the references. Use the prescribed bibliographic style like APA, American Psychology Association, or MLA system, or Chicago Manual or Harvard Manual. You have to adapt only one type of bibliography style. Follow editorial instructions for the paper preparation, submissions, and the revision. Sometimes the research journals give the instructions that you have to prepare in the frame of the research paper like this. Then you have to prepare all these things accordingly. Then journal sections, there are, if you go through the Ulrich directory of the periodicals, you will find a lot of names of the journals related with your topic also. You have to select it from the list of the periodicals. If you go to the central library of any university, you can find, or any national library, you can find there are periodicals and there are directories of the periodicals also. You can get shortlist the research journals related with your topic, then divide them in the following categories. World top class journals 10%, second order journal 30%, rest of the periodicals 60%. Take the help of the experts, scholars, and also the experienced librarians for this purpose also. So which are the class 1 journals or the second class journal or the rest of the periodicals? You have to select it with the help of the scholars of those areas, or even the librarians have good experience in the selections of the journals also. Then nowadays through the Google or there are so many websites through which you can get the impact factor of the journals also, and then you can select the journals respective related with your topic. What is impact factor? Sometimes how much the research papers are being read out by the scholars. It shows that how much popularity the research journal has. So this is the impact factor is a measure reflecting the average number of citations to recent articles published in science and social science journals. How much research papers are being quoted by the other persons. Based upon that, there is a impact factor. So journal with higher impact factors deemed to be more important than those with lower ones. The impact factor was devised by Eugene Garfield, the founder of the Institute for Scientific Information, ISI, now part of Thomson's Reuters. Impact factor is calculated yearly for each journal indexed in Thomson's Reuters Journal Citations Reports. Even UGC University Grants Commissions also they have having the impact factors of the journals, and based upon that they are giving the list of the uh, journals also. In India also University Grants Commissions publishes time to time UGC care list of journals, and those journals which are not performing very well, they are being excluded from the list of the journals also. So based upon the impact factors, the list of the journals are being prepared by university grants commissions, especially in the field of science and technology. It is being prepared by uh, Council of Scientific Industrial Research, CSIR, and other institutions which related in the physics, astrophysics, like in the chemistry. There are so many institutions which are giving the impact factors of the journals also. In India also, Indian National Science Academy, INSA, they are also publishing and giving some of the index impact factors of the research journals of the science research journals. So this is the calculations of the impact factor. Generally, a number of times articles published in journal in 2011 and 2012 were cited by index journals during 2013. So based upon the previous performance, the impact factors are being prepared. So total number of citable items published by the journals in 2011 and 2012. So in the coming year, it is being indexed that how much research papers were cited by the scholars. So citable items are usually articles, reviews, proceedings, or the notes, not editorials or letters to the editor. So 2013 impact factor for the journal is A by B. This is the calculation how impact factor is being given. So note that 2013 impact factors are actually published in 2014. So they cannot be calculated until all of 2013 publications have been processed by the indexing agency. So there are indexing even Ram Mohan Seminary, which gives the ISBN number and ISSN number for the journals, and for the books ISBN number. They are also having the calculation of giving the impact factor also. So impact factor is used to compare different journals within a certain field. The Institute for Scientific Information, ISI, Web of Knowledge indexes more than 11,000 science and social science journals. So select guidelines, list all possible words that you want in the title, prepare their various combinations, use traces to select most suitable shapes for the core words. Test which combination is the most compact, apt, and sounds pleasing. So title could be decided last along with the abstract of the paper. So at the time of submission of your research paper, also title can be selected finally. So at the last, what are the things which can be asked by himself by a scholar? What is the new thing being conveyed and is it properly highlighted? What you wanted to project you in your research paper, whether it has been highlighted or not? Is the material relevant for this section or subsections? Can the matter be written differently or presented, say, by a figure? You have to think over it. Have I become a slave of the particular word or the phrase? What you have used in your research paper? Are all the references cited or not? Whether some of the references are left, you have to be very cautious that not related with your topic, any matter has been left out. So, lastly, be your own critic. You have to more critic about your objectives and the findings also. Be merciless in editing your drafts. Don't think that what you have written it is the final. You can edit your the papers also time to time with the suggestions of your supervisor and the teachers and the experts also. Don't compromise on quality writing and presentations. For the sake of publications of the research paper, don't compromise with the quality writing. Give sufficient time for writing and revising the paper as far as possible. Slip over your last draft for about 2 weeks and then read it afresh for giving the final shape. Sometimes the ideas are not coming when you are completing your draft. So leave it for 10 to 15 days. Again, you go through it. Then some of the ideas will come again, and then you can finalize your paper also. So this is the procedure how you have to approach the editor of the journal. So author generally submit their papers to the chief editor of the journal. Then there is editorial board members to whom the research paper is being sent for the review, and with the suggestions of the editorial board members, again review request is being sent to the author, and after getting the approval from the author, again it has been sent to the reviewer for the checking it, and then it is being published. Review report comes, and then feedback, reject, revise. Then there is a last which goes for the publications of the your research paper in the journal. Then it lastly it goes to the abstracting journals and search engines. There are some of the sites which goes it. So there are some of the strategy. So let us finish here because we are having. So we'll discuss rest of the things in the next class. So let us discuss, stop here. If you have any question, you can ask.